could tell Justin Trudeau was addressing a predominantly male audience that works with their hands the other day. That's because the former part-time drama teacher went into blue-collar mode, losing the suit jacket, getting rid of the necktie, rolling up his shirt sleeves. This is what blackface does when he is addressing plumbers or carpenters or firefighters. He wants to show that he's one of them, even though I doubt blackface has ever done anything physical throughout his privileged and pampered life.
Don't be silly. I'm capable of playing any role, even with half a finger.
Ugh. How did that happen?
It didn't. Acting.
In any event, the audience this time around for Canada's version of Master Thespian was Canadian troops stationed overseas. At least the prime ministerial version of Mr. Dress-Up didn't don a soldier costume to pretend he's one of the gang, unlike his Indian trip a few years ago. You remember that dress-up disaster for the ages, don't you?
Oui, c'est notre bon Justin Trudeau. Vive le bon Justin Trudeau. Et maintenant que le vote est légal, c'est plus facile de voter libéral.
Anyway, here's blackface giving an address to the troops in Latvia. It's bizarre.
All learned what an atmospheric river was when it hit BC. Climate change is having a real destabilizing and negative impact with more and more frequent extreme weather events at home. And as challenging as it is at home, the impacts around the world where people are in more precarious economic and geographic situations than we are. That's a new reality that has huge implications for security around the world, which is one of the reasons why Canada is stepping up to build the Centre of Excellence for Climate Security in Montreal. That's one of the announcements we're going to be making tomorrow at the NATO summit. Because everywhere in the realm, but particularly in areas where there is particular intersections between geographic and climate realities and conflict, think of the Sahel, think of parts of Southeast Asia, that's going to be a new challenge we all have to deal with. We're also dealing with the hangover of the pandemic that knocked us around as economies, but also knocked us around as individuals. Put a lot of stress on families, on people trying to figure out a way through. Add the extra challenges of social media and levels of misinformation and disinformation that had friends carried off by it.
No, you are not hallucinating, folks. Blackface was lecturing soldiers on climate change and disinformation. Presumably the disinformation being contrarian viewpoints regarding climate change. If I'm a member of the armed forces in that audience, what am I to think about this surreal virtue signaling sermon? That war is hell, but it's especially hellish for Mother Nature, given all those carbon emissions that result from fighter jets flying and tanks plodding along. And let's not forget the emissions from bullets being shot and bombs blowing up real good. So is blackface suggesting that the Canadian military needs to, mothball its weaponry so as to, reduce its carbon footprint? That's a hell of a way to fight a war, let me tell you. It reminds me of that classic scene in the 1986 sci-fi masterpiece, Aliens.
Look. Hey, Paul. Look. We can't have any firing in there. I want you to collect magazines from everybody.
Is he fucking crazy? Hey, what the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Yeah, guys, put down your carbon-producing bombs and utter F-bombs instead. And remember that Greta Thunberg loves you. What a weirdo. And hey, how cheap can you get? Do you know that those troops in Latvia are actually paying for their own kit? Even the state propagandist, state broadcaster, finds this egregious and embarrassing. The CBC notes that a battle group of almost 1,500 soldiers, including more than 700 Canadians, have been forced to buy their own modern ballistic helmets, rain gear, vests, and belts to carry water and ammunition. Then again, forget about the ammo part. That stuff is too, climate changey. But can you imagine this sort of disrespect directed at our troops? But we know why Trudeau is such a skinflint when it comes to the armed forces. Remember what Blackface told one particular veteran back in Edmonton in 2018?
You made the promise, and I'll quote it here, "No veteran will be forced to fight their own government for the support and compensation they have earned." Yet you are still currently in a legal battle with veterans regarding equal support and compensation to their peers. You have ISIL or ISIS members coming into a reintegration program. You did a backdoor deal with Omar Khadr with not even stepping into the courtroom. So again, my question is, what veterans were you talking about? Was it the ones that fought for the freedoms and values that you so proudly boast about, or was it the ones who fought against? Because honestly, Mr. Prime Minister, I was prepared to be injured in the line of duty when I joined the military. Nobody forced me to join the military. I was prepared to be killed in action. What I wasn't prepared for, Mr. Prime Minister, is Canada turning its back on me. So which veteran was it that you were talking about?
Why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court? Because they're asking for more than we are able to give right now.
Yeah, veterans asking for the bare necessities to sustain life are asking for too much. Meanwhile, Blackface could hardly wait to stuff a check for $10.5 million into the pockets of our homegrown al-Qaeda terrorist, Omar Khadr, because this jabroni jihadi suffered from hurt feelings while detained at Gitmo Bay.